our media team, which is furious in creating all our infographics, all our ebook guides, and we're launching our Smart Tools Guide, 38 pages. It will be uploaded in the university and the Facebook group. Guys, this is a step-by-step ebook PDF guide on our smart tools, and you could learn it real fast by just reading it, like 20 minutes, you're done. Okay, so go and grab that after this webinar. It will be uploaded. But now I want to really focus on our main interview speaker for today. We're so excited. I can't contain my excitement with the story of Mr. Trevor Otts. It's really a David versus Goliath story. That's why we wanted to share it with you guys. And Mr. Trevor Otts is coming from Maryland, and his story of how one man against all odds won an election. He's here today. I cannot I cannot contain my excitement because this guy is a rock star. He's a rock star. So let's welcome Mr. Trevor Otts. Mr.
Hey, hey, Ari, how you doing?
We're so excited. As you can see, I'm so giddy, right? After hearing your story about how you used SMS-iT to win an election, I'm like, I fell off my chair. So go ahead and please share with our community.
Yeah, so, I think SMS-iT is a really interesting software, I mean, in a good way. I think first things first is I kind of came into this scenario with SMS-iT very much like other people did. Like I heard about it in different places like AppSumo, and I had run across a YouTube video by a young lady, and I think she's in the group. Her name is Colleen, right? And so I watched this video, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. And I had previously been using Twilio, and as anybody knows, based upon your size of your list, that can get to be prohibitively expensive. But I had to think to myself, I was like, well, here's the chance to really kind of significantly lower the cost of my text message marketing, or stick with the old marketing and just keep paying exorbitant fees. And I can remember when it didn't matter much when I was paying, $100 to $200 a month. But once your text messaging fees get to $4,000 and $5,000 a month, because you have a list of 60 and 70,000, you have to consider that, especially as a small business owner. And so I signed up for SMS-iT, and I get on the phone. I talk to Henry, and I talk to tech support, and they get me set up, and that was great. And then I get a call from a few of my friends who decided a few months earlier that they were running for office, but that they needed some help. And so they called me, and I said, well, sure, I'll help. Now, typically, when I go in to help people kind of market their business and things like that, there's usually a big budget. But as you know, sometimes in public service, big budgets are not there. And so I go over, I meet with them, and I ask them, how much of a budget do you have? And I was thinking, 10,000? No. 5,000? No. 1,000? No. We got about a few $100s. And so I said, okay. And I'm thinking, well, what can we do? And they had been posting on social media, but still not getting traction. They were putting up signs on the street, but who wants to put signs? You've all seen the election signs. Who wants to put up signs? As a matter of fact, I think it's 108 degrees here in Maryland right now. So who wants to be putting up signs in the hot weather? And who wants to be knocking on doors in the era of COVID? So there were all of these challenges, plus a budget of about $500. So what we did was we went down to our local Metro PCS store, and we purchased a total of 10 phones for each candidate. And so we purchased these 10 phones, and we were going to maximize our budget, connected to the SMS system. And so what we started doing was we started sending out text messages to everybody within her district, and her district was the 26th district of Maryland. We didn't know whether or not it was going to work or not. We didn't know if people were going to get the text messages or not. We didn't know if people were going to feel annoyed or not. We didn't know if it was going to work or not. But all of a sudden, as we started text messaging people, people started responding back. People started saying, "Oh, thanks for the update. Thanks for letting me know the election is coming. Oh, I had never heard of you before. It's good to finally know something about you." And we started getting all of these responses. So we said, "Oh, okay, let's continue this." And so when this process started, they were relative unknowns. I mean, just unknowns. And they were up against an incumbent. They were up against somebody who had already won a few elections. So you got to think about it in this way, that it's a true, really kind of David versus Goliath kind of situation. And there was no true expectation to win. It was just, hey, let's just put up a good show. But all of a sudden, we started gaining traction. And so literally, the elections were Tuesday of this week. The elections for Maryland were Tuesday. Our primary elections were Tuesday. And so we're all kind of crossing our fingers and we're all kind of crossing our toes and we're all kind of wondering what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, people started walking up to the polls and said, "Oh, yeah, I got your text message. Oh, yeah, thank you. I got the text message. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know you. I've been getting your text messages." And I'm like, yeah. And so we're all kind of shocked. We know that we had been sending out text messages the whole way through. And we had been sending out picture text messages with sort of the campaign literature, ones with the actual ballot, communications, and things about what it be about, things like that. So come election night, at around about 8 o'clock at night, the results start coming in. And so for the 26th district in the state of Maryland, the lady, her name was Veronica Turner, and she was running for delegate in the 26th district. Now, they select the top 3 as the people who win. So out of the 10 people that were on the ballot, a total of 10 people on the ballot, they only take the top 3. All of a sudden, we start seeing the numbers come in, and Veronica is in the lead. This is the client, this is the customer, this is the candidate. She's in the lead. And the incumbent, right, is showing up right behind her. And then by the time, right about 11 o'clock at night, when all of the ballots were finally counted and everything was in, not only did Veronica win a seat, but she came in the number 1 position. And it was just shocking. It was just amazing because we did not completely understand the true power of the text messaging system. Now, I want to kind of give you perspective. Her district and the amount of people who voted in her district, her list was probably around about 114,000 people. So about 114,000 people total. And so if we had used, let's say, Twilio to do that, we were sending MMS-based messages using SMS-iT. You can see I still got it. Still got my system, trusty, handy dandy system running right now. Got all my phones sitting here. But on average, the average sort of picture-based text message can run anywhere between 3 to 5 cents. And so if we just take the 114,000, I'm gonna pull up my trusty calculator here just to kind of give you perspective, is at 114,000 times 0.05 cents. Every time she would have hit that list, it would have cost her $5,700 every time she hit that list. We hit that list probably no less than 10 times over that month. And keep in mind, we started marketing late. So other people had a whole, 6 and 8 month jump on us. And so if we ran it about 12 times. So that would have been 5,700 times 12. So if she had really tried to do that with a traditional campaign, Twilio and all the workarounds and that kind of stuff, would have cost her $68,400. But here's what it really cost her. It ended up costing her the cost of 10 phones that we got on eBay. And each of those phones were about $30. And we could, Colleen gave us a connection Our first phones were with Metro, but she gave us a connection to Tello, Tello, and that got our cost down to about $8 a phone. So we spent $80, a total of $80 for a month worth of messages. And we spent about $300 on phones. So we spent about $380, might say $400. So she was able to save about $68,000 because it cost us $68,400. And that's just really, that really underscores what it means to really do the due diligence, really use the system. And let me say a few things. Yeah, there were some bumps in the road. There were some bumps. It was new technology. We had to learn how to use the system. We had to figure out Android phones. I'm an iPhone guy, so that was a little bit of a challenge. And each time we ran into a challenge, we would get on with tech support. And it was Henry and a couple people, and they would show us how to optimize our campaigns. They would show us how to get our phone to working better. They would show us how to get it to, move it from, 3 seconds of message to, messages kind of rotate between 10 and 30 seconds. And when it took us about a week, maybe 8 days to get the thing dialed in. But here was the big takeaway. One, it was as if we gave a candidate who basically was up against Goliath, was working with, limited funds, very limited funds, but she was able to produce an outcome that overcame her competition in the space. Her competition had billboards. They had billboards. They had signs everywhere. These people had television commercials. But she stepped in and took a chance on the new technology, took a chance on our company, and we were able to really help her deliver a win. And that was big for us. And then we had some other ones who right now, they are so close that they're still counting mail-in ballots. So there's possibly a second winner, which is another person that was in that campaign group. And they did the same thing. And so they literally used the text messaging system. And so here's what I would say that I learned from the campaign, and I hope everybody kind of hears this, and you should write this down. Text, we should not consider it as, it's not a marketing tool. SMS-iT is a community tool. It's a tool that helps you build your community. It's a tool that helps you connect to your community. It's a tool that helps you engage with your community. And so if you think of it as a community tool, as opposed to a marketing tool, you'll be able to use it correctly. And I got some other stuff I'm going to show you right now. Some just things that these are like these amazing results. I mean, just think about giving somebody's campaign like $70,000, right? In potential value and benefits. Think about giving somebody, a small business owner who's working with a limited budget, the chance to really compete through the power of technology. And so SMS-iT really leveled the playing field. That's the big thing. And if you're out there, you're listening right now, I hope you're hearing this, because I don't get paid to tell you this, right? I got my own business, I have my own things to do, but SMS-iT leveled the playing field. SMS-iT is the Swiss Army knife that every small business owner out there needs. It literally can do everything and anything. But the key to it is to really follow along with what they're telling you to do. And let me use as an example. First things first, let me tell you about the mistakes I made. The first time I started running the marketing, I totally did everything they told me not to do. They said, listen, set your settings from 10 to 30 seconds in the profile area, because I'm on the decentralized side. And what did I do? I set it to 3 to 5 seconds. And what did I do? My first time, I burned through 50 numbers. Had to call the phone companies up and had to change the numbers because they started getting blocked as spam. Didn't do what they told me to do, burned through all the numbers. Then the second thing was they told me, hey, Trevor, when you're sending the images, make sure the images are literally optimally under 300 kilobytes, not megabytes, kilobytes. Me, I sent one, it's like 1.3 megabytes, not realizing that the average cell phone provider is anything over 500 kilobytes, they're probably not letting go through unless it's a prime carrier. And so I had to go back and optimize because of that. And then saying, hey, Trevor, you don't want to sound salesy. You want to connect at a community level. And once we started getting these things taken care of, a lot of things started to change, and we started getting responses. And people even started calling in. People started calling the phones and saying, hey, by the way, I got your message. I want to volunteer and all these kind of things. And then the last thing was they had Henry had showed me the spinner feature. This is what they told me to do. I had bought all these phones and I was going to put them all on one node, like one kind of node in the decentralized side to just use all 50 phones sort of like at one time. But Henry had told me, he was like, hey, why don't you, he said, the AI control panel, the artificial intelligence control panel, that's the magic. That's the magic. What did I hear? Let me do 50. I had to go through what's called like marketing rehab. Everybody type that in the chat. Marketing rehab, right? And when you go through marketing rehab, you have to undo all of the bad habits that you sort of learned along the way that basically just harass the hell out of people and ignore the hell out of people, right? And so in that, he said, hey, I want you to use the spinner. And I want you to be less salesy and things like that. I said, okay, got it. And we did that. And so what happened was, at first I was sending messages, and you got to keep in mind, this is a list of like 114,000 people. Imagine 114,000 people all getting the exact same message in the exact same way with the exact same link. And that was a problem, because even then, you would still show up really on the cell phone providers. You kind of end up on their hit list, so to speak, And what you want to do is you want to stay out of their crosshairs. And so with the help of Colleen and some of the other leaders that you will see in the space, and Henry and Ariana, you started optimizing that thing. And we used the spinner. And by just changing, by adding in 5 little variables, it created 43,200 different versions of the same text message. And I'm going to show that to y'all in just a second, just so you guys can just see it, right? 43,200 different versions of the same text message. So now, basically, most people will, at max, only 2 to 3 people will receive the same text message. Other than that, mostly everybody's gonna get their own version of the message. And so what I'm telling you now is use the spinner, 1. 2, make sure you set in your profiles under the decentralized side 10 to 30 seconds. Make sure you do that. And then number 2 is break your phones up using the AI control panel. This was one of the big takeaways that I learned. And so what I did was I got the agent account, the agency account, and just took each one of my phones and put them on their own little separate settings and broke the list up that way. So those were some of the big takeaways. And then that was just Tuesday. So I would just be happy with, hell, we won a freaking election with $500, $400, right? $300 for the phones, $80 for the actual service itself, $380. We went out and won a freaking election, right? And I'm talking about up against an incumbent, up against money, up against this, just won an election. One election for sure, and the second one is coming down to the wire. And both candidates were literally, and you can look her up, Veronica Turner, 26th District, State of Maryland. Basically, she went going away. So want to give a shout out to her, want to highlight her, want to show her some love, because she basically took on Goliath using SMS-iT. Basically, we were able to use technology to take on Goliath. So what does that mean for you guys who are listening now? Well, we're small business owners. Most of us are here right now, small business owners. And Goliath are the mega companies that you're out there, that you're up against, who got the bigger budgets, who been in business for umpteen years, who had the connections and the contract, but you have the ability to level the playing field. And that was my first big win of the week. So then, fast forward to Thursday. Thursday, I get back on the phone with Henry, Ariana, Colleen, the team, and what was there was another gentleman too, and he is, matter of fact, he has a session coming up. I can't think of what his name is. Do you know his name, Ariana? Matter of fact, he has a boot camp coming up. What is his name?
Matt.
Matt Koenig.
Yeah, Matt.
Matt.
Right. So get back on the phone, right? Get on the what's name, start following Matt, start following Colleen, start following Henry, just really kind of digging in. And all of a sudden I started a new campaign